Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. When doing research for this show, it always surprises me how many products manufacturers like Korg, Yamaha and Roland were able to churn out over the decades. We all know the legendary Micros, CSs and TRs. Nevertheless, there is one line of instruments we have neglected until now. The black front plate 80s and 90s Roland rack units, or as I like to call them, the Mr. Smith of audio gear. I not only lost track of how many of those similar looking 19-inch units were actually created, but I also keep mixing them up constantly. It took me years to understand that the U110 and the D110 are not the same instrument. Today we are going to talk about the Roland R8M Total Percussion Sound Module. It was released in 1990 and it is the rack version of the original Roland R8 that came out 2 years earlier. It features the same sample-based sound engine, but it lacks the sequence of the original. I never had the opportunity to play the OG R8, but apparently it is graced by some mysterious groove magic. Feel free to leave a comment if you know more about it. It seems like Roland was able to put some of that hard to describe goodness into the rack version as well, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
At the first glance, the R8M is ticking all the late 80s, early 90s rack unit boxes. Tiny display, 4 microscopic buttons and a master volume as the only knob on the deep black front plate. Compared to the original R8, it's missing the DX7 style value slider, but it boasts 4 card slots for additional drum sounds and patch memory instead of the 2 slots of its older sibling. There is a MIDI trio and, hell yeah, 8 outputs. You can change the pitch of the drum sounds and there is a rudimentary envelope with some added features to make hi-hats and cymbals sound more realistic. I assume that the aforementioned unique groove wizardry is mostly based on the built-in feel functionality, a randomizer and humanizer manipulating velocity, pitch and the envelope. Like most rack units of that time, the user interface is confusing at first, but turns out to be well structured and straightforward once you manage to overcome the initial disgust. Some of the kits come with a little bass rompler hidden on another MIDI channel and the sounds can be played chromatically. Nice. R8Ms are quite cheap, but prices may vary depending on your location, while the ROM cards can be a serious cost factor.
Can it be that this once highly esteemed music production workhorse and recording studio staple didn't age very well and has become completely obsolete?
We have already heard the R8M in our little intro tune and received a lesson in being more 80s than the actual 80s. What a snare! I wanna know if we can squeeze some music out of the stock samples without any idea how to use this slick drum sound module.
Those samples sound a bit dated, but they certainly pack some punch, and I really like the chromatic mode. I've heard some variations in volume and timbre I didn't program on the BeatStep Pro. The feels maybe? It's not easy to make those generic rack units look interesting on video. Let's see if we can improve on that in this ROM card sample-based jam. The plate reverb of the strange Korg FX processor is certainly an acquired taste, but the 808 sounds and bass sample are cool even without processing the individual outputs. The sounds of the R8M remind me of a time when you could stack wind instruments, guitar noodling and rainforest sound effects onto repetitive 808 patterns without getting arrested by the jazz police. Maybe we can get away with some of these questionable style decisions in this eclectic 90s concoction. is of course a dinosaur. It's not fit for modern music production with its hyper-optimized UIs, supercharged retrofuturism and multi-terabyte sample landfills. But as the living fossil that I am, I still like this ultra-condensed drum sound powerhouse. The sound quality is great and you can clearly tell that it was one of the top-of-the-line models for music production pros back in the day. Although it is obviously on the wrong side of technological evolution, I would recommend the Roland R8M to all the Jurassic Park owners out there who can take advantage of the multiple outputs with their mixing consoles and outboard FX. Because gear finds a way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like and subscribe and don't forget to leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.